a popular comedian who also delivers self-help messages tongue-in-cheek through his alter ego? That makes her an emerging international star performing in arenas all over the world. Buckle on up as you are about to be amused and at the same time hear some simple but profound life lessons from this star with millions of social media followers.
Welcome to the Motivation Show podcast, and get ready to be inspired, motivated, and achieve massive success. And now, your host, the mayor of motivation, Eli Marcus.
Our guest today on the Motivation Show is also known by his alter ego, Self-help Singh. He is an international comedian and probably your favorite alternative life coach. I can't wait to get into that. I could use some coaching. The comedian and de-motivational speaker, we're going to get into what de-motivational speaker means, and parody expert discovered his inner alter ego when, as rumor has it, he fell and hit his head as he rushed to the toilet after some bad lamb vindaloo. Ooh, I'm not sure I'm going to go to that Indian restaurant. Welcome to the Motivation Show, Masood Boomgaard.
Thank you, Eli. Thanks for having me.
Well, Masood, I would love to know, of course, we all talk about motivation, right? I don't know if I've ever heard of the word demotivation. Can you define what a demotivational speaker is and why you are one?
It's something that I've kind of just made up in my head. I don't think it's something that, it's a field that kind of really exists, in the mainstream. But if I had to explain what it is, I think that, we live in a world where there's just so much, motivation out there. And let's just say a lot of pressure, for people to do things. People feel so overwhelmed that they have to be a certain place in their life, or have to achieve certain goals. And when they don't achieve those goals, they feel like complete failures. What a demotivational coach does is lets you know that, what, fuck it, everything's gonna be okay. You don't have to do any of this shit. You can just be and try. If it doesn't work out, it's fine. We're all gonna die at the end of this.
Don't take yourself too seriously, right?
Yeah, exactly. None of this is actually going to matter. That's what demotivational coaching is, in essence. It's kind of tongue in cheek. Send up of the kind of motivational field. That kind of exists.
So, Masood, which came first, the comedian part or the demotivational part, or did they both arrive together?
So comedy has always been my first love and my forever love. So what actually happened, the serious part of the story is that, during COVID, I kind of slipped into a bit of a depression, not being able to perform, not being able to do what I love doing. And I found that nothing could help me get through this depression. So what I actually did was I kind of, instead of turning to all of the conventional mainstream materials out there, which was not helping me, kind of created this character in my mind and helped myself, with a kind of inner voice in my head. The question I asked myself, everyone is like, oh, everything's going to be okay. You just got to, get up and do this and do that. Where's the guy that just says, you know what, fuck it, just stay where you are and everything, just chill. You don't need to do anything. Where's the guy that says do nothing? So that's what, Self-help Singh actually was, a voice in my head that just told me, what, everything's going to be okay.
Would you say that's sort of like a law of attraction thing where you just kind of accept things and let things flow to you and not, go too crazy, and to try to do a million things because, if you're strong of mind and you're strong of spirit and strong of heart, things would just start to flow without you having to over-try. If you think that happen more organically for you. Does that make sense?
I think there's definitely some kind of merit to what you're saying about not over-trying. Not forcing something or like kind of going against the flow of what is happening to you. I believe certainly, and you mentioned that you're spiritual. Sometimes something's happening to you for a reason. One of the phrases I always hated was everything happens for a reason, and I only hated that saying because I never quite understood, what that meant. But what I actually learned from my personal experience was that sometimes you have to have a bit of patience. The reason for whatever shit is happening to you isn't always known to you at the time. You kind of have to wait it out, You can't force an outcome. So yeah, I think definitely, there is kind of like something about, that kind of lens or, gives, value to the idea of what you're saying. Don't try too hard. The law of attraction, all of that. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
I think that also hits on faith. You don't understand things for the moment. Why is these bad things happening to me, and how will I overcome it? And when you have faith, things tend to turn around in a better direction. If you're angry and you're upset and you start to have negative self-talk, that's where things start to self-perpetuate. But when you have faith and you believe that there's a reason, you just have to have the patience and wait it out. Again, that is a law of attraction where things do tend to start to play in your favor. It's just the way the universe just naturally has it. And so you, of course, in my intro, we said that you're probably, your favorite alternative life coach. Why so?
Of course, it is, tongue in cheek, the whole idea of an alternative life coach. I must say, for the record though, I've never done a life coaching course. I've never gone for any life coaching, training. I think there's lots of life coaches that do a great job out there. But the idea though, just the idea of a life coach though is something that's kind of like, come to the, forefront of the public consciousness in very recent times, right? I mean, your dad didn't have a life coach, right? My granddad didn't have a life coach.
They never heard of one.
Exactly.
Didn't exist.
When did life get so fucking hard that we need a coach, that you actually need a coach for it?
What am I going to have for dinner, right? Coach me.
Yeah. People just lived, in the old days, people just lived. They lived,
Yeah.
and, they did whatever they did, and they fucking died, and that was their life, Somehow we've complicated life to a point, where we feel that, we need, somebody to guide us through this, along a kind of a particular template. In many cases, that's what it is. My idea, of course, alternative life coaching doesn't obviously exist in the mainstream, but it's something I kind of made up. But at the heart of it is the idea that of giving some very simple solutions for complex problems, if that makes sense. It's just simplifying life. That's what alternative life coaching is. Taking this very complicated problem and providing simple solutions to it in a kind of a humorous way, too. And the idea of complicated life is something that we've complicated. I don't think life is complicated. I think we as people, complicate things.
In other words, we're searching after this so-called secret. Oh my God, what's that secret that's going to turn our life around? Well, how about, getting up early? How about working hard? How about applying yourself? How about immersing yourself into something if you want to learn it? Because you're probably not going to learn how to play violin and be a virtuoso in 2 hours. You're going to have to immerse yourself. How about some of the old-fashioned stuff, right? So use common sense, right? There's your secret.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. A lot of what I talk about kind of, I would say, ties into a bigger theme of common sense not being so common anymore.
I like that.
Because we've just complicated things to such a level where we're unable to see the answers right in front of us. And yeah, I mean, we're all looking for the big secret. There's something I say in one of my videos. I say, stop searching for the meaning of life. You'll one day die just as confused as you are now. and that is something that, as people, as human beings, we want to know everything. But we have to also accept the idea that we're not going to know everything. You just have to deal with the fact that you're going to live this life, and some things are going to go your way, some things are not going to go your way. You do the best you can and leave the rest to the universe. So that's basically what I like to get across to people.
What would you advise someone who goes on the internet, right? Instagram. Inevitably, if you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook, everybody's having a good time, right? Because nobody's putting their shitty moments on there, right? They're putting all their glamorous moments, right? And you're saying to yourself, gee, I don't have that trip to Cancun right now. I'm not on some exotic beach. I'm not, in the red Ferrari or Lamborghini. Why is my life all screwed up? That's right. So how does somebody get to that point where they realize, that's those are sound bites. It's not necessarily a daily reality for everybody, and where you are is good enough right now. And life is ever evolving. How does somebody not get down on themselves when they turn on the TV set and they see everybody is, glamorous and everybody's pretty, and they're in their minds, I'm just average. What do you say to somebody like that?
Man, it's something that I had to learn myself, is that the internet isn't real. It's just not real life. As much as, the internet is a massive part of our lives, it is not real life. And I think, it's incredibly curated, as you say. People never put, their shitty parts of their life on there unless they're crying out for attention. Somebody might,
and then they're on there for empathy, right? They want empathy.
Exactly. That's the currency also. Some people thrive on people's empathy, sympathy, all that. The only time they're putting a shitty photo is, if they're taking a hospital selfie and, I want a whole lot of people to comment and send thoughts and prayers and whatever the case.
Poor me, poor pity me, right? Yes. You see those all the time. Those hospital shots are ubiquitous.
It's incredibly curated. And I think that, people need to remind themselves of that, that the fact that sometimes you may see somebody having that vacation in Cancun, but that person might be, balls deep in debt, their credit cards are all maxed out just to be able to, to have that vacation, So nothing is what it seems. I think if I had to tell somebody, give somebody some advice, I'll be like, you know what? Nothing is what it seems on social media. That person is probably miserable. There's probably some shit going on in their life that you don't know about because they're not telling you, because it's so perfectly curated. And also, I mean, when you talk about social media, you also got to look at the fact that it kind of, because of the whole anonymity of it, brings out the worst in people, And as an artist, also, we see it, where, people would just put a shitty comment on something that you do, just because they can, it's, you got this veil of anonymity. So, oops, sorry, my light just went out. Can you still hear me?
Is this part of your routine?
No. So I'll tell you something.
We'll have to make it part of the routine.
I'll tell you something crazy. I don't know if you're aware, in South Africa, we have something called, load shedding. So it's like rotational power blackouts. So sometimes the power companies there's only one power company in South Africa. I'll use the cell phone line, and they do a really shitty job of supplying power. So sometimes we have these blackouts that happen randomly, like moments, opportune moments like this. So sorry about that.
All good. Well, Masood, since we're already got an R-rated show here, we're going to use some of your vernacular, and you got a whole shitload of followers on social media. So now, someone looks at you like, this guy's got 1 million followers, and they envy you and they feel insecure related to you. Now, when you got the 1 million followers, are you looking at somebody else and saying, hey, I don't have 5 million followers? I mean, is it ever enough? You know what I mean? Like, where is enough enough?
That's the thing. So people do make a big deal out of. I have people who say, "Oh man, you got a 1 million followers. That's amazing." But I mean, I know. I mean, there's people out there with 10 million, 20 million, 50 million. So I don't let it go to my head, obviously, because it's not a huge number. But I also know, once again, that it's not real. These are I'm not saying they're bots, but I'm saying these are just people on the internet. If I had to ask them for $1 each, I'm not going to get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? the day I can get $1 from every one of them out
Then that
there, it
number
just
counts, right?
that,
Then
that,
that's an
that means
impressive
something.
number.
But on that point though, like you say, people do think because people got all these ideas. I mean, you know a lot about social media because you're in the podcasting business. People have some really crazy ideas of what a following means on social media or what it means to get so many million views. They're thinking you're getting paid like, I don't know, crazy sums of money. That, people tell me, oh, TikTok must be paying you a lot of money. Or like Instagram must be paying you so much of money, for having these views. And like, you must be like living really well. I actually even I laughed about it the other day. I even get people who hit me up in my DMs or in my email who will offer me like these ultra luxurious services, thinking that I'm like balling, on that level. The other day, some VIP private jet company messaged me and offered me, wanted to lease jet to me for my US tour. And I'm like thinking, man, if only these people knew.
Exactly, right? So speaking of your
So,
U.S. Tour, you're from South Africa. So the
yeah.
United States is a whole other world for you, right? But I know you're coming down to my neck of the woods this winter. You're coming down to the Broward Center for the Performing Arts on Friday, February 9th. And I'm looking forward to actually coming out and seeing you. What should we expect from not only the show here at the Broward Center, but some of the other shows that you're doing around the country?
So I've been touring quite a bit. The US, like you say, is a whole different world from where I'm from. Growing up in South Africa, from a home with very modest means, I never ever thought I would get on a plane and even leave the African continent. So it's a big deal and it's something I'm very grateful for. In the last year, I've been to 23 countries in 1 year, which I still can't
It's a lot of
really.
frequent flyer mileage.
Yeah. So I've been very, very, very fortunate. I'm looking forward to the US. I hear the audiences are great. The show that I'm bringing to the US is a show that I've been touring with everywhere. It's a show that combines, conventional stand-up comedy elements, with, a lot more of the serious stuff that we're talking about right now, but kind of delivered in a very sort of, comical, tongue-in-cheek, yet, direct way. Self-help Singh is very different to me as a person. I actually get a lot of inspiration from the character itself because of the character's kind of approach to life. His candidness, and he's kind of very candid, but also the attitude that he has about life. Uh, you know, living a life where we kind of like propagate living a life without the kind of conventional, limitations that we place on ourselves. And so a lot of that comes through in the show. But ultimately, it's entertainment that leaves people with a message. And ultimately, the message, well, people have to come to see the show to hear what the message is. But the overarching message is about this idea of life, being a gift, and you being able to choose whatever you decide to do, with this gift. So it's comedy with some demotivation and motivation. Also, I find that demotivation and motivation work together because I think that sometimes people have to be demotivated in order to be motivated, in a weird way. So there's a lot they'll get out of it. It's not just I'm coming out and having a laugh and going home. People are going to leave with something quite profound, that I can assure them.
So when we speak of Self-help Singh, first of all, I wonder where you derived that from. That's a very common Indian name, I suppose, Singh. Did you kind of come up with it because of that?
Yeah, it's got a good ring to it. So I'm actually, I'm a descendant of Indian migrant laborers who migrated to South Africa in the late 1800s. My origins is from the Indian subcontinent. And even though there's no Singhs in my family, like you say, it's a very common Indian surname.
It flows well, right? Self-help Singh.
Yeah.
Sounds
It flows
easier
well.
than Self-help Boomgard, I guess, maybe, or Self-help Masood, I suppose. So
Exactly.
go
Yeah.
with
So
the flow, right?
Go with the flow. It's just a name that I found kind of worked, when I was looking for a name to use for the character.
So is Self-help Singh very different from Masood Boomgaard, as supposedly Borat would be from Sacha Baron Cohen?
I would say so. As I said before, I'm actually very different. My personality is very different. I still think I'm a little bit more kind of reserved in my approach to life. I think that I worry a bit too much. I think I have a lot more anxiety than I would let people know.
Maybe people do sense that, and maybe that's part of your, your appeal.
Perhaps, but Self-help Singh is a completely different person. The attitude, the fucking attitude, like
Yeah.
none of this matters.
Right.
Just live and let live, and things will kind of figure themselves out. So it is very different. I do feel that the character was kind of inspired, through something that happened within me. I mentioned the kind of dark place that I was in. So I think the character came out of that, and I think it's in some ways, for me, I feel transcendental. The fact that I get to play this character when I'm there, when I'm on the stage doing that character, it really isn't me. I don't feel like it's me. I feel like it's a kind of like an out of body experience, which makes it a lot of fun and a lot of very interesting, but also kind of a very kind of spiritually draining experience too, if that makes sense.
Is there a way to give me a sample right now, or is it kind of hard to just turn on, turn off? How does that? Well, a little snippet of what we might see when we come out to the Broward Center or any of the other locations you're going to be at.
Fortunately, I have his shades here, so a lot of it is
Of course, the video people, the audio people will not be able to see that, but I will. Oh wow!
Yeah.
See now.
I got to put on the shades to kind of like get into.
You look like a movie star.
Get into the character and become the character, right?
I see. Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't quite work. I'm still waiting for the Ray-Ban endorsement, by the way.
What's that guy, DJ Khaled? You kind of had that little look about that. Anybody say that to you before?
Yes, I've heard it a bunch of times. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I come there, right, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to get some parody. Am I going to walk away with some really thought, as you kind of say in your bio, thought-provoking, stuff where I'm going to like scratch my head and say, "Wow, that's a game changer"? Or am I not?
You are going to be penetrated in many different ways. You are going to be penetrated with laughter, healing, and guidance. You will be hearing the answers to life's greatest questions. They may not necessarily be the right answers, but they will be answers.
Wow, who is this guy? Self-help Singh.
It is him. He is me, and I am him.
You've arrived. We've been waiting for you for the entire 25 minutes. You finally arrived.
If there's something that I have, a very important message for all of the people in the United States of America, the message is: don't listen to people who will tell you that you are a nation that is lost, confused, and broken. They are correct, but don't listen to them. You need to put your worries on pause and just learn to fucking chill.
I like that. Put your worries on pause. Yeah.
Don't worry. Your worries are like the safety instructions that flight attendants give before takeoff. One day when you're about to die, you will not remember them and they will not matter. So don't worry.
Don't worry, be happy.
Very profound word. Don't worry, be happy.
So, Mr. Self-help Singh, where do we learn more about you?
So you can find me on all of the social medias. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on the Instagram. If you are old, you can find me on Facebook. And you can also find me on OnlyFans.
Wow.
And also you can find me on the YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you enter into a state of deep meditation, I will enter your consciousness and I will find you.
I kind of like that, no work, just meditate and bingo, you show up just like you did in the show here, right? We didn't have to press any button. You just showed up.
Exactly. I am the voice inside your head. This is a conversation you are quite possibly having with yourself. Right now, there's quite possibly that there's nobody in this podcast except yourself. And the listeners are listening to this, of you talking to yourself and thinking, this guy has finally lost his fucking shit. He's having a full-on conversation with himself. You are not sure of what is real and what is not real.
I'll have to say I agree, because this is the most unique podcast interview I've ever done. So for all I know, I might be talking to myself here. And for all the listeners know who don't have the audio of the video, they just may think I'm putting on these voices myself. Just do it.
But most importantly, it is very important that everybody that is in the presence of my voice is coming to my shows. I'm going to 22 cities in the United States of America, from coast to coast, even through the middle of the country. I will be penetrating all of the places, famous places in the United States. And they can get a ticket. They can go on the internet and Google Self-help Singh, and lo and behold, ticket things will appear to them. And they can buy the ticket using actual money that will be entering my pocket. And I will spend this money in the most responsible manner. I promise I will not waste your money on yacht parties with Instagram models. I'm actually more of a pizza on a private plane kind of guy. So rest assured, everything will be fine.
Well, I don't mind my money going that way. It sounds like it's a good investment. Well, I want to thank you so much for your unique brand of comedy, parody, and demotivational speaking. Any last words?
Self-help Singh has left the building, but he was very appreciative to have been given a chance to talk to you. And it was very cool talking to you too. Has 25 minutes gone so quickly?
It has gone. I'm telling you, time flies. And I want to thank both you and I want to thank Self-help Singh for adding some great levity and some great wisdom to the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eli.
If you would like to inquire about having Eli motivate your team, speak at your event, or coach you personally for massive success, email themotivationshow@gmail.com. That's themotivationshow@gmail.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.